Um, so yeah, all right. And now that everybody can see my screen, I'd like to welcome everybody to our second webinar in English. So this is basically tradition now, and we're basically expert. So I'd like to welcome everybody today on this February 1st to the HR performance indicators and the must-haves for 2024. All right. So I'll go to the next slide. So obviously this is the agenda today. Our game plan, basically. I will present everybody, including myself. Then after that, we'll go through the different future activities that we'll have, basically the next one and what will happen after the webinar. Afterwards, I'll leave it to my colleagues to go through the selection of the right indicators and obviously the HR indicators for 2024. And then afterwards, at the end, we'll have basically 10, 15 minutes, hopefully, when it comes to answering your questions. I do suggest to you guys that you can either type them up in a chat or wait at the end to basically raise your hand or ask it to us because we don't want to get sidetracked too much. Sometimes we're so into the HR and what we want to present you guys that, you know what, sometimes we get sidetracked. So we'll leave it at that. Usually I always tell them I would like to go last when it comes to presenting, but I don't know, it is the running gag right now. I always go first. So this is me, Jean-André. I am basically in charge of anything that has to do with the surveys and client success here at Cara. So I'm there through and through when it comes to the projects of all of our clients, customers, and I'm there to make sure that everything goes smoothly and goes according to plan, basically. Afterwards, there is my lovely colleague, Amy. She's been here for a little bit longer than I have, obviously. She is very passionate when it comes to benchmarking. She is a people analytics project when it comes to anything that has to do with starting up any new clients, and she's there to make sure that you know what we are aligned with. Excuse me. We're aligned with whatever the project might need in order for our client and ourselves to basically work hand in hand and make sure that everything goes smoothly as well. Last but not least, we have Andrée Laforge. If you don't know her, I will introduce to the best of my abilities this wonderful person. She is obviously our VP, but also our project manager. We like to say she's very enthusiastic because she's been in the field for even before it was popular. She was advocating for people to actually look at their data when it comes to HR. So as you can see, she has an extensive resume. She's been named top 50 in the world when it comes to people analytics. So she is basically our go-to resource when it comes to anything people analytics. Here we go. A little bit about ourselves, basically. We did say Cara, but on the first slide, it says Cara by the people of Saint-El or powered by Saint-El. Basically, we are an HR solution and we go through whether it comes to training and development, KPI selection and dashboard audits, excuse me, data analysis services. So basically, when we go through your data, we make sure everything is clean. We make sure that it represents whatever it needs to represent in our solution. Benchmarking, like I said, with Emmy, very good when it comes to that. And obviously our platform, which is wonderful. On the right-hand side, as you can see, these are a bunch of logos of the companies and clients that we are either in business with at the moment or we've been in business with. So we've helped them out when it comes to different aspects of their project through and through. Maybe it was something that was a little more tamed and controlled when it comes to the project, but it is fairly extensive. Afterwards, we have Saint-El, which is basically a Canadian company based out of Quebec. It is a business intelligence and analytics and artificial intelligence company. Basically, they have over 300 projects under their belt, and they've been in the business for over 35 years. So we do have an extensive know-how when it comes to what we're talking about. And I'll leave it at that for now. And like I said before, the upcoming activities, basically what we'll have going on, obviously we have the webinar today. After the webinar, I will send you guys a satisfaction survey to be sure that it was up to how you wanted it, or you know what, just to help us out to build better content for next time, or content that is a little more attractive to you guys. Afterwards, next week, you will receive the presentation and you will receive the recording of the webinar. So if you miss out on something or you're not quite sure while you're taking down notes, don't worry about it. Just keep on going, and then we'll be able to give you the information later on. And for the next one, obviously, we're not even done this one, but we already planned the next one. We're looking up ahead. We have another webinar when it comes to demystifying HR dashboard, which, as the date said, will be set on March 27th, 2024. So for now, I'll end my part and leave it to my colleague Amy, because I've been talking a lot and I want to hug the spotlight.
So thank you, André, for this introduction, and I'll share my screen right now, and I'll put you back there. Okay, so before we get to the HR indicators for 2024, I just want to take a minute, or maybe two, to tell you how you should select the right indicators for your organization. So you probably already have indicators and HR dashboard, but your dashboards should be reviewed regularly. And I'm not telling you to review it every month or every week, but you should at least do it once a year, or whenever a major event disrupts the course of your organization. You might asking yourself, what do I mean by a major event? Over the past 3 years, your organization's strategic plans and objectives have been turned probably upside down by a global event such as the COVID-19 pandemic. You can also think of racial inequalities you have seen that have permanently altered employees' jobs expectations. Factors for attracting and retaining talent now include the flexible working arrangement, greater commitment to health and well-being, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Okay, how to select the right indicator? According to Cara, there are 11 things you should really do for being able to select the right indicators for your organization. And here they are. So 1, understand your organization's objective. So you need to identify the company's overall objectives to align HR KPIs with the global strategy. Well, your HR strategy should also flow from your business strategy, but that's another story we will not talk about today. No. 2, you need to consult with stakeholders. So if you want your KPI project to be successful, you will also need your colleague. So you need to involve the various players in your organization. You will need the management. You will need the HR managers. You will need your HR team, managers of the other services or department. Okay, even employees can help you identify specific needs for your organization. So do not hesitate to talk about this project with your colleague. And they also might need HR KPIs to help them doing their jobs. Then 3, identify key HR processes. So you need to identify the key HR processes that contribute directly to the achievement of your organizational objectives. 4, define performance criteria. Okay, here you will need to establish clear, measurable performance criteria for each HR process. So this criteria must be aligned with your strategic objectives. So here are some examples. We want to reduce the time to hire by 20 days. We want to increase the number of employees having a specific training by 25%. We want to maintain a turnover rate below 15%. We want to maintain an employee engagement rate about 70%. Okay, and then you can have 5. Okay, 5. Select the HR indicators. So you need to choose KPIs that best reflect the performance of the HR processes identified in the step 4. So in summary, step 4 is used to formulate concrete objective, while step 5, choose relevant KPIs, consists of identifying the specific indicators that will measure this objective, okay? So in some case, the objective and the KPI can be very closely linked, as you saw in the example of the recruitment, when I say reduce the time to hire by 20 days. So I hope that clarifies the process, okay? Then six, assess feasibility of data collection. So here you got to make sure that collecting the data needed to measure the KPIs is feasible, okay? That data that is inaccessible or difficult to obtain can render KPIs ineffective. If it's negative, so if it's too difficult to obtain, here's what you can do. You can reassess the relevance of the indicators. Okay, you can also modify your indicator. So if your indicator is important, but data is difficult to obtain, you can consider modifying it to make it more realistic. You can also invest in a data collection infrastructure, and you can also replace your indicator with another one, okay? Then 7, establish performance threshold, okay? You will need to establish a performance threshold for each KPI. So this will clearly identify when performance is satisfactory or when corrective action is required. Then 8, ensure relevance over time. So you will have to regularly check the relevance of your KPIs over time. Oh, sorry about that. Okay. So I was saying the relevance of your KPIs over time. So the organizational needs evolve, and the KPIs you have chosen need to be adjusted accordingly. Then 9, communicate and explain. Okay, you have to inform your team about the new KPIs you have chosen. You have to explain their importance and make sure that the people involved understand how their action contributes to the results, okay? Then 10, implement progressively, okay? As we always say at Cara, you should never start your HR dashboard project with 70 KPIs, okay? Because you won't be able to monitor them all, okay? Implement KPIs gradually to allow for smooth adaptation and to be able to identify any potential problems. That's our advice, okay? Start small, okay? And then 11, so analyze indicator and adjust if necessary. Okay, this involves regularly monitoring the results of the performance indicator you have chosen and taking action based on these analyses. So ongoing analysis enable trends, deviation, or significant changes in data to be detected, okay? If your results are not in line with your expectation, or if they indicate opportunities for improvement, adjustment can be made to the strategy, processes, or even to the indicator themselves. And then I'll go. Okay, as we mentioned in our webinars, training, and blog, it's important to always start by the top, okay? When you start your HR analytics project, start by the top and understand your organizational strategy, because you will need to align your metrics, your indicators with this strategy so you can show that you are also contributing to the achievement to this objective. Up to this date, there are more than 500 human resources indicators to help you measure your performance. This goes from recruitment, turnover, engagement, demography, mobilization, and so on. When it comes to developing your HR dashboard, we recommend following the 80-20 rule, okay? So it's 80% of standard indicators and 20% of customized indicators. And now you probably ask yourself, what does she mean by standard and customized indicators? And I'll give you an example. Okay, the voluntary turnover rate is a standard indicators. And why? Because we should all use the same formula, okay? You know, the one recommended by the best practices and by the ISO 30414 standard. So that formula is simple. It's resignation plus retirement divided by the average number of employees, okay? We should all use that same formula, okay? And on the other hand, you have the quality of hire index that is that must be customized, okay? This indicator combines the result of 3 or 4 indicators, okay? You can combine the new employee retention rate, the new employee performance, the manager's satisfaction, and the new employee satisfaction. But you can also use just 3 of them, okay? It's yours to see. And you can also weight them so that one has a greater influence on the result. So you can say the new employee's performance, it's less important than the new employee's satisfaction. So the new employee's satisfaction should weigh more, okay? So you see, this one is customized and very specific to your organization. And then a question we are frequently asked is, how many HR indicators should we monitor for my organization? And my answer might disappoint you. It depends of your organization, okay? And it depends on how many strategic objectives you have. Usually an organization will have less than 5 strategic objectives. So, and for each one, we recommend to have 2 or 3 indicators maximum. So if you have 5 strategic objectives, you should have 15 indicators or less. Well, that's about it for me. Then I'll stop sharing my screen. Andrée, if you want to talk about the HR indicators you have chosen for 24. Sorry about that.
Numbers in English are tricky, Amy. I know that too.
I want to go back in time.
Okay, so do you see my screen? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So first and foremost, sincere thank you, Amy, for your great introduction. She gave you a valuable method for selecting indicators to populate your strategic dashboard. Okay, so it's really a methodology that you should use when you want to update your dashboard or create your first dashboard. Now, before we dive into the specific indicator for 2024, I'd like to take a moment to elaborate on the process behind my selection. As Amy said, the method for choosing these indicators is a crucial aspect of ensuring the relevance and effectiveness in driving your strategic decision. So it's important to know that I don't possess a crystal ball, and I'm not here to provide a one-size-fits-all solution. Instead, my aim is to foster reflection among all of you. Each one of you is uniquely positioned within your organization because you know your workforce, you know your strategic objective. My goal is to stimulate your thinking, to select these indicators. I've considered not only the broader economic and HR landscape, but also insights from our clients at Cara. With that in mind, let's start with the list. One pivotal area that has guided my selection process is the challenge of talent shortage and employee retention. Despite the recent increase in Canada's unemployment rate, a closer examination of the employment landscape revealed 2 critical metrics: the job vacancy to unemployment ratio, representing the number of available jobs relative to the number of individuals seeking employment, and the resignation rate, the frequency at which individuals leave their jobs. Both indicators shown a noticeable loosening trend in Canada. However, this trend suggests a potential slowdown in the wage inflation and a slight increase in the employment rate. However, according to a study published, I think it was in November or December of 2023 by Robert Half, many businesses are still grappling with a shortage of skilled talent. Nearly 90% of managers report challenge in recruiting workers, with over 6 out of 10 recruiters finding that the time required to fill a position has increased compared to the previous year. In 53% of cases, the lack of qualification among candidates complicate the search. So the scenario bring the need for employers to adopt strategy to attract and retain top talent. As we explore performance indicator, it's crucial to consider how organization can retain experienced workers, especially those approaching retirement. Retaining this talent pool not only ensure wealth and knowledge, but also contribute to a stable and resilient workforce. So the first indicator on our list is the turnover rate of experienced employees, calculated by dividing the number of departure of experienced employees. And here we say 30 years of tenure and over, but you can decide that in your case that it's more 35 or 25 years. It depends of your context. And you divide that by the average number of experienced employees. You could also use the retirement rate, okay? So in which the calculation involve dividing the total number of employees who retire by the average number of employees, okay? There are several advantages to enhancing the retention of this group of employees. This include the preservation and transfer of knowledge, the opportunity for mentorship, reduction in training cost, and the stability of the workforce, to name a few. By monitoring and improving these turnover indicators, organizations can not only benefit from the wealth of experience these employees bring, but also foster a workplace culture that values continuity and knowledge sharing. As we move forward, consider how these indicators align with your organization goals and the unique composition of your workforce. If you find yourself in an industry where the average age is really relatively low, such as retail or video game sector, these indicators may not be as directly applicable. On the other hand, if your organization operates in the public sector or in the finance industry, it's likely that these metrics will have a more pronounced impact. So you have to make sure that it means something for your organization. Let's now explore other indicators that can help in managing the turnover of experienced employees. One such metric is the average retirement age. It's crucial to compare your average retirement age with the overall average age of employees to assess the significance of retirements for the organization. So suppose that your average age for your organization is 42 and the average retirement age is 64, you have a gap there. But if your average age is getting older and older, and sometimes people ask me what is an average age that is starting to be critical, I said when you are over 48 years old of average age, you should start planning succession in your organization. Another valuable metric is the number of employees eligible for retirement. In this calculation, you consider usually employee age over 65, as they have the option to retire within a relatively short time frame. But if you have a pension plan in your organization, you might have another number than 65, okay? Identify business units and job groups most at risk is key, okay? Depending on the size of your organization, a 5% of employee eligible for retirement may hold intriguing insights for you, okay? It means that if it's over 5% of eligible employees, you should start doing something because the clock is ticking. And also, you should look at employee nears retirement. In this calculation, employee age over 59, meaning 60 and above, are included. It indicates you that those likely to retire within the next 5 years. Identifying business unit and job group, again, most at risk is, again, essential. Okay, a 10% ratio is a threshold where I would recommend placing increased emphasis and initiating succession planning effort. These indicators provide a holistic view of the retirement landscape within your organization, allowing your strategically plan for succession and talent retention. Moving on to your next indicator, let's explore the ongoing challenge of talent shortage and the potential in tapping into new candidate pools. One emerging source is individuals who have retired and express a desire to re-enter the workforce, albeit on a part-time basis. We see this a lot in retail. This presents us with a unique set of indicators to monitor and optimize for this scenario. So let's now shift our focus to the retention rate of employee age 60 and above. Before we dive into this indicator, let's briefly distinguish it from the turnover rate we discussed earlier. These two metrics differ significantly in their calculation formula. The turnover rate, as we've seen earlier, assesses the departure within a given period, often expressed as a percentage of the total average workforce. In contrast, the retention rate considers the overall ability to retain employees, factoring in both the starting pool and new hires. So the formula for the retention rate of employees age 60 and above is as follows, okay? It involves the sum of the number of employee age 60 and above at the beginning of the period, plus new hires in this age group, minus the number of departure of employees age 60 and above during the same period. This result is then divided by the sum of the number of individual age 60 and above at the beginning of the period and new hires in this age group. Why is it important to track? As we explore these indicators, consider the strategy value of actively retaining experienced individuals in your workforce. Your organization stands to gain not only from their wealth of knowledge, but also from the inclusive and diverse workplace culture fostered by such initiative. So as we suppose you have this strategy to go into this pool of new talent, it's crucial to keep an eye on various indicators that can provide insights into the effectiveness of your approach. Firstly, let's consider the number of applications from people age 60 and above. This matrix gives you valuable information about the attractiveness of your organization to this demographic. If the number of applications is low, it may signal that your strategy to attract these seasoned professionals requires review. Moving forward, we need to analyze the acceptance rate of job offers to individuals age 60 and over. A low acceptance rate may indicate a misunderstanding of the condition necessary to attract these new resources. It's essential to scrutinize the reasons for offer refusal and make adjustment accordingly. So those are all data that you should collect, okay? And those data should not be on a piece of paper. The reasons for offer refusal, you should have that in your database, okay? Because if you want to use it, it's easier that way. And lastly, we need to dig into the reasons for departure. So suppose that you're successful to attract new employees age 60 and above, but they don't stay in your organization. You have to understanding why they might choose to leave. it is equally vital. This information, you will usually have it with the exit interview that you perform. Okay, so now our next theme, let's shift our focus to the critical aspects of health and well-being. The latest data from l'Observatoire sur la santé et le mieux-être au travail, it is a group of professionals at HEC Montréal. They did a study, I think it was last year, and they showed that mental health remains a significant challenge in organization. Therefore, I believe it's crucial for us to continue monitoring this issue in 2024. The well-being of our workforce is not just a business imperative, it's a fundamental commitment to creating a supportive and sustainable workplace. So let's now move to the indicator. Last year, I discussed the incident rate of psychological health. You should continue to monitor this indicator, but this year I'm bringing your attention to the Employee Assistance Program, okay, the EAP, utilization rate. It has been demonstrated that a high percentage can significantly impact employees' mental health and well-being and overall performance. The formula is straightforward. You need to determine the number of employees who have utilized the program during the analyzed period. And of course, you need to note that an employee, even if they have used the program multiple times, they are only counted once, okay? And then you divide that by the average number of employees. You've seen also when I've talked about the turnover in calculating these rates, I prefer using the average number of employees. Okay, why? Because if you have a manpower a workforce that's fluctuating during the year, it's better to use the average. If the size of your workforce remains relatively stable over time, you could opt to use the total number of employees at the end of the period, but the best practice are the average number of employees. So you'll see that usually when we talk about rate, and I've said we kept the French taux d'utilisation du PA, but that's the Employee Assistance Program utilization rate in the formula. The best practice are the average number of employees, and you'll see that every time we have a rate, especially in our platform, it's always divided by the average number of employees, okay? Let's continue our exploration of indicator related to Employee Assistance Program. Beyond the previously discussed utilization rate, several other metrics can offer a more comprehensive view of the program effectiveness. Firstly, consider the average number of consultations per employee. This matrix allows for a more detailed analysis of your program usage, providing insights into the level of employee engagement with the available services. Breaking down these consultations by major reasons, such as psychological advice, legal counsel, or financial guidance, can also provide valuable insights into the specific needs of your employees. So usually your EAP provider should give you information on those major reasons of consultation. Another crucial indicator, especially if the utilization rate is low, is employee satisfaction with the program. Positive or negative feedback from employees about the usefulness or quality of the services of offered serve as a valuable indicator for adjusting and improving the program. Okay, so if your utilization rate is low, you should maybe do a survey for your program. Lastly, consider the absenteeism rate. The idea here is to correlate the increase in EAP usage with a potential decrease in absenteeism. An effective employee support program should result in better stress management and personal issue resolution, potentially reducing absenteeism. By analyzing these diverse indicators, we can gain a holistic perspective on the impact of the EAP on the mental health, well-being, and presence at work of our employees. By experience, I know that the utilization rate of this program is usually low in organization. I've seen a utilization rate around 8–10%. Okay, so this is really low. So you should also make sure that your employees know about the program. So you should do more publicity about this program. Let's continue focusing on a highly important domain, leadership and engagement. The value of a company is closely linked to the value of those who work within it. And employees reach their full potential when guided by strong and compassionate leaders. You likely invest in support and development programs for your executive and manager, but how can we ensure that these programs truly deliver tangible results? My fourth indicator is the employee confidence rate in leadership. This metric can directly come from your engagement survey. You simply need to include questions or a set of questions specifically related to leadership in your survey. It is a positive indicator of organization health. A high level of confidence often suggests transparent communication, positive relationship, and effective leadership, while a low level may indicate underlying issues. High leadership confidence rate has a direct link to employee motivation and engagement. Employees who trust their leaders are generally more motivated to contribute significantly and are more engaged in their work. Confidence in leadership is also a key element of corporate culture. By strengthening confidence, the organization can contribute to creating a culture where employees feel valued, listened to, and aligned with the company's goal. On the contrary, if your confidence rate is declining, this can enable the organization to take corrective measures before a crisis develops. Lost trust can be challenging to restore, which is why regular monitoring is essential. Now, let's examine which indicators are impacted by an increase or decrease in the leadership confidence rate. Retention rate, okay? A high level of confidence in leadership is generally associated with better employee retention. If trust decrease, the retention rate could be affected as employees might be more inclined to explore other opportunities. Confidence in leadership is closely linked to employee engagement. Employees who trust their leader are more likely to be engaged in their work, while a lack of trust can lead to a decrease in engagement. It's the same thing for satisfaction. A low level of confidence can contribute to a negative work environment, which may result in a higher absenteeism rate. Employees might be less inclined to show up for work if they lack confidence in their leadership. And finally, it might have an effect on your talent attraction. The organization reputation, including confidence and leadership, plays a crucial role in talent attraction. If trust decreases, the organization may struggle to attract new talent. By monitoring these indicators and probably other alongside change in the confidence rate, we can gain a comprehensive understanding of how confidence in leadership influence various aspects of our organization health and performance. Now, moving to the fifth domain, internal mobility. As HR professional, it's crucial to ensure that your manager pool or management pipeline is well developed. Internal mobility, or the ability for employees to move within the organization, is a key factor in talent management. A robust internal mobility program not only foster career growth for employees, but also ensure that your organization is tapping into the skills and potential of its existing workforce. So now let's look at the promotion rate for management position. This indicator has a certain connection with the previous one, okay, namely the confidence rate in leadership. Fostering internal promotion of new leaders can bring significant advantage in terms of cost, talent retention, stability, and employee satisfaction. It also contributes to the development of a strong leadership aligned with the organization's value. The calculation formula is simple. We need to find the total number of promotion for managerial position and divide it by the average number of employees. Okay, and if we return to the advantage of increasing our promotion rate for management position, the one I like most is the cost reduction, okay? Especially in our current economic environment, internal promotion can be more cost effective than external recruitment because the costs associated with recruiting, onboarding, and training new managers are often higher than internal promotion. Additionally, the salary will likely be higher when you go outside the organization. So the cost, for me, the cost reduction is really a good incentive to increase your promotion rate for management position. Other additional indicator to shed more light on the promotion rate in management position, here are some key metrics to consider. Leadership development program participation rate. If you implement a program, a leadership development program to prepare employees or manager for leadership role, the participation rate can be a key indicator of employees' interest and commitment to these opportunities. Okay, average tenure in the same role. It's the average time employees spend in the same role can provide insights into mobility and progression opportunities. A long tenure may indicate stagnation, while a shorter duration may reflect a more dynamic job rotation. We have also the retention rate of promoted employees. Monitoring the retention rate of employees promoted internally to management position, assess how well these employees remain engaged and satisfied in their new role, and also how good was their preparation for this new role. And linked to that is the satisfaction of promoted employee. Measuring the satisfaction of employee who have been promoted internally helps understand how they perceive their promotion experience and identify potential area for improvement. Diversity rate in promotion. This one is really one that I see more and more looked at into our customer base because ensuring diversity in promotion is an indicator of how the organization promotes fairness and inclusion in its internal promotion practice. And finally, time to fill a management position. Measuring the time it takes to fill a management position can indicate how quickly the organization can address its internal leadership needs, and also how good is your succession planning process. So your time to fill should be 0. Okay. Now, the last domain I want to explore with you is that of finance and productivity. The current economic situation, exacerbated by rising interest rates to counter inflation, is prompting many organizations to realign their strategies and business objectives. This challenging economic environment necessitates a shift in HR practice to meet the demand of a new economy. You have to do more with less. Okay. So in 2024, the key word will be productivity. Organization will need to focus on optimizing their workforce, leveraging technology, and streamlining processes to ensure efficiency and effectiveness in achieving their business goals. So, the next indicator is directly tied to operational efficiency and productivity. And as I mentioned, you'll be hearing the word productivity quite often in 2024. This KPI is the revenue per employee. This indicator quantifies an organization's ability to effectively utilize its workforce to generate revenue. An increase in revenue per employee typically indicates that you have a better utilization of skills and efforts by worker. The formula for revenue per employee is really relatively straightforward. You take the total revenue for the period under consideration and divide it by the number of employees at the end of that period. It's not necessary to calculate this indicator every day or every week or even every month. Quarterly assessments are generally sufficient for understanding trends and making informed decisions. Now, there are indicators to complement revenue per employee. Total labor cost, okay? It represents all labor-related costs, including wage, benefits, and training expenses, calculated by dividing the total labor cost by the number of employees. It provides a comprehensive view of workforce-related expenditure. Profit per employee, assess the individual contribution of employee to the company's profit, calculated by dividing the total profit by the number of employees. Profit per employees quantify the efficiency of each employee in generating revenue. Human capital ROI. This ratio informs us about the return on investment in human capital. It is a productivity ratio that helps the employer determine if they are getting value for their money. To be considered successful, the value must necessarily be greater than 1. For example, a human capital ROI of 1.2 indicates that for every dollar invested in the workforce, $1.20 is returned to the company in the form of revenue. More than other ratio, this matrix can assist HR in demonstrating that personnel is not an expense, but a source of income. And finally, the turnover rate. Okay, every company calculate their turnover rate, but what they are not considering is the cost of employee turnover. You know that it is very costly. Okay, so it might, if you work on lowering your employee turnover rate, you will probably gain in productivity. So by using these indicators in conjunction with revenue per employee, organization can obtain a more comprehensive picture of operational efficiencies, labor-related costs, and employee contribution to productivity, to profitability. Sorry. Okay. So, thank you all for your attention. That concludes our discussion on the key performance indicator to monitor in 2024. I hope this has provided you with valuable insights and idea to revising your current dashboard. Now I'll hand it over to my colleague, Andrée.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrée, for all the great information. Since there's not a lot of time left, I can share my screen again or you can go to the next slide, Andrée, probably faster that way.
Yes.
Go to the next slide. So obviously, Andrée went through an extensive list of indicators for 2024. There's also a blog that we do write blogs, especially Andrée and Emmy, where you can see other indicators that have been set for you guys that you could read through that are related to everything that we spoke about today. Whether it's retention rate of new hires, or it might be the span of control when it comes to your managers, anything that goes along with that, you could look at. It'll give you some hints on maybe what you should look at. You have, I don't know if Gauthier, do you want to send them the link that is on the slide, maybe in the chat, so they have it right away? Or if not, we'll send it to you with the rest of the material next week. Next slide, Andrée.
Oh, sorry.
No problem. So like I said at the beginning of the webinar, obviously, once we're done, you're gonna receive a satisfaction survey to help us out to build better content and more content that is useful to you guys. Today, afterwards, next week, you'll get the documentation and the recording of this webinar. And obviously, we have our next webinar, which will take place on March 27th, 2024. So basically next month. I hope you guys had a lot of fun. You still have 5 minutes to ask your questions. And yeah, I guess the mic is up to you guys. Thank you for having us. And you could put in the next slide, Andrée. If they don't have my email address, then you can send your questions. If you're too shy or you have to go because your lunch break is also over, you can send all of your questions directly to me. You have my email address, and it'll be our pleasure to answer. Well, thank you.
Thank you. So no questions.
No questions
On my
today.
calculation, all those calculations, you don't have any questions. Oh,
no, they said they should have paid more attention in math math classes earlier. So, but yeah, thank you everybody for coming. No questions today. Maybe by email.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everyone is gone now.
Hello.
You can stop the recording.
I just want to say, well done.
I thank you.